You are listening to CrossTalk, a safe place to discuss addiction, recovery, harm reduction, and everything in between. Support for this podcast comes from the Kentucky Opioid Response Effort and Advocates of Recovery. Content and production by the team at Turning Point Recovery Community Center. Now, buckle up and get ready for the show.
Welcome everyone to CrossTalk Recovery, the recovery podcast that supports all forms of recovery. I'm Matt Lewis, and I'm here with
Brandon Fitch.
Tabitha James.
Lauren Carr.
Welcome, guys. Once again, Brandon and Lauren have finagled their way onto the podcast.
Well, $20 will get you a long ways here, won't it?
Right. But no, we wanted to have Lauren back on again because we really love working with her at the Graves County Health Department and what she does with the syringe exchange out there. And she wanted to bring on Tabitha, who's one of her success stories out there, which we love a good success story in recovery in general. So welcome on. Tabitha, tell us a little bit about yourself and your success story.
I am a single mom of 3 kids who got out there and decided to go get high and then decided to start using a needle and lost my kids. And then, God got me. This syringe program got me because not only did it offer me clean syringes, but it also offered me hope. It offered me connections to recovery places like Recovery Plus, and that was my first journey in a rehab. It didn't last long, but I'm here now, 2 years later, sober. So it's a little bit.
That's great. Yeah, I know that a lot of people say that coming to the syringe exchange and just feeling welcomed there, and the way that they show you that somebody cares, helping trying to love you back alive, wait till you're, keep you alive till you're ready to do something about it is the, real goal behind it. And so was that your experience as well?
I mean, I'd come in and Lauren would meet me with a smile, or the other workers would just meet me with a smile, and they would ask me how I'm doing. They would be concerned about anything and everything. They showed me love and kindness that I wasn't getting anywhere else. Right. Like, I had burned so many bridges with my parents, with my children, with all of my family, and so I was pretty hopeless when I come through those doors. And then I come in and I had a spider bite on my leg. And she's like, you need to go to the doctor. I was like, you think so? It hurts when I bend my knee. So she actually gave me the nickname Spider Bite. And I still have that scar I see every day. It's a reminder. And I know it sounds a little silly, but it's a reminder of where I was and where I'm at because of Lauren, Yeah. It's not just her. I put in a lot of hard work, but I'm going to tell you right now, she was like the light at the end of the tunnel for me. And I'm going to be graduating drug court program in February.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
And she's going to be there, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Hey, that's a hell of a program right there.
It really is.
I went through it. I understand.
It's been a wild ride, I've had my fair share of sanctions. Had to go to jail, and I've had to sit in courtrooms and watch people get revocations and had to take notes, and it's been a wild ride, but I did one of my last packets of homework and turned that in today, and we're going to be working on my, what's it called, exit interview, I guess, soon, and that's when the real stuff starts.
It's when the rubber meets the road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I always tell people that I'm not a healthcare professional. So when they do show me spider bites or they come in with their fingers cut off, or
you're like, that's not right. Something's not. I'm not a doctor, but there should be more finger there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's so crazy. On the way here, I picked her up and she gave me a tour of her house, and I want to say, you got this spider bite because the trailer you were living in had no electricity. It was
a trailer that me and my ex-husband had lived in years and years ago that sits on my dad's back property, and no electric, no nothing. I was homeless, didn't have a home. I lived out of a car. So me and my ex-boyfriend would sneak into my trailer because he wasn't allowed on my dad's property at the time. And we would stay there, have candles, and that's how we would see. You don't want to know all the details, but...
It was romantic, right? The candles. Yeah.
Horrible. Anyways, one morning we woke up, after a night that we actually did sleep, and he had a bite on his stomach, and I had a bite on my knee, and it wasn't 2 days later, I couldn't barely bend my leg.
Wow.
And I had necrotic tissue. It was bad.
Was it a recluse?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's my biggest fear.
I've been bit by one. It was the worst.
I've never been bit by one, but I'm still scared to death of them.
That's what made me start not liking spiders. Because I had it on my toe, and they had to carve half my toe out because it starts eating away at the tissue.
It's gross. I still have pictures.
I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
So I've got a few questions. I'm just like you. I'm in recovery, and just like you, I was an IV drug user. So we didn't have access to something like you had back in my day. But what was it like to? First off, how did you hear about it?
Another user.
Another user told you about the exchange program.
I was over at their house, and they didn't have a license or a car, and I did, and they wanted to ride, and I was like, "Give me some."
Was it the candy that lured them in? The food, the snacks? Or
From the exchange?
No, we didn't even have snacks when you started coming.
No, I don't know. Yeah, you did.
Did I? I always think it's the snacks that get people to come in.
It's the needles.
As an IV, as a former IV user, I'm telling you, it's the needle. Because
it's not even the fentanyl test strips; it's the needles itself.
Well, when you're out there, and we're not trying to glorify anything, right? Like when you're out there, the horrific things that you go through to either find them, maintain them, sharpen them. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Unclog
them.
That's
you're
the worst.
putting so much damage to your body.
Oh my gosh.
And God forbid you want to share as well. I mean, you really process that like, oh, okay, I've known this person for a week. I trust them and their hygiene and all these things. It should be good. And we didn't have that. That just seems like it would have taken a lot of courage, I guess, to walk in there. And of course, we didn't have anything like that, when I was doing it. But what was it like your first time going in there?
Well, at first I didn't want to go in myself. That's why I said, just grab me some too. And the person told me, you can only get so many. And I was like, I have to come to terms with this. And there's people that are going to know other than who I'm using with.
Yeah.
And that's, I denied it for months before I ever walked into that place. And so when I walked in, I was nervous. I didn't talk much. But then they were so friendly that I came back, and I had no regard, no
reservations.
Yes.
Reservations at all.
And I just started coming in, and I would talk about my whole life.
See, I mean, you make that. I heard a podcast. I was telling Matt once. There was this podcast. I shared it with you too, and they brought up the fact that it's not about the syringe. It's not about the harm. I mean, it's about that. But the most valuable asset at that program is the person that's there, that the one that you're gaining some trust in a relationship with. And whenever you are ready, at that moment, that's the person you feel most comfortable to go to. I mean, when I was trying to get new syringes, you go to CVS or Walmart, and some places would give them to you, some places would just look at you because we weren't looking the best out there, right? Well, if you're using a syringe on a daily basis or more often than that, right, you're not looking healthy. You've been up for a few days. 2 weeks, and they're definitely looking at you a certain way, and understandably so. And your goal is not to get higher because of it. Your goal is to find something to where you can do it safer.
Yeah.
Because we know addiction is a hard thing to kick. I mean, it takes so much more than ourselves. But I remember I used to throw on some dress clothes and some khakis and put makeup on I swear to God I did it. and sunglasses on and even throw a tie on and walk into a different town to try to get these things. That way I was doing it safer. And it was just a horrible experience, a horrible experience. And it's just awesome that you guys have that now.
My first thought when they said something about when my friend told me about it, they were like, I thought, is this a setup?
Yeah.
Or are they going to give my name?
Yeah.
Are they going to tell the cops? Because I'm already in trouble. I can't get in any more trouble.
Yeah.
They don't. They don't tell your name. They give you nicknames.
Like Spider Bite? Yeah. That's when you said that, I was like, I remember that. You know, like those little posts going around saying, if you want to get your drugs tested, please drop it off here. Have you seen that?
Yeah, and I'm like,
it's a trick. Yeah.
It's a trap.
It is a trap.
Straight setup.
Yeah.
A
So
lot of people think that.
they do?
Yes, I would say that.
About the exchange?
Yeah, and they say that we ask cop questions. And I'm
It's
like,
just for safety.
it's just for safety.
Like, what's your name?
What substance they are using and
Yeah.
how many times a day. And I would say that that's probably the hardest intake question that we ask, and because people are actually admitting to it. Or they'll say, oh, just like 1 to 2 times a week, or, here or
I
there.
didn't want anyone thinking I was a real big drug user.
Right.
I didn't want to be thought of as a junkie or nothing,
Yeah.
but
The delusion we're in at that moment, too, right?
yeah, the truth was, it's exactly what
Yeah.
I was. And, I can admit that now because, and a lot of people don't like that word, and I understand. I didn't like that word either. But it's not bad to be able to accept the truth. Acceptance is the answer
Right.
to all kinds of things today, And if I can't accept that I have an issue, then I can't get what I'm wanting to get,
Right.
If I want to get 30 syringes instead of just 15, then I need to be honest with how much I'm using.
Right.
Because I'm going to need that many needles each time,
Right.
Because you're not supposed to reuse them.
Right.
And that's what they're, that's part of what it is. It's so you are safe. And it's just, at first I didn't want to be honest, At that time, I couldn't be honest. I couldn't be honest with myself. I couldn't be honest with the person sitting in front of me. So to say, I use meth, and I do about a 0.5 gram shot, probably about 4 or 5 times a day. That's not something I want to say.
Right.
But by the end of it, I was like, I do way too much, way too often, and I'm going to die, and I need help. Eventually, I could say that. And it takes time. It does take time and getting to know somebody. But after, like, the first few times, I come in one time on a hoverboard and just hung out. I had just literally
Yeah.
gotten
Yeah.
all the way.
Yeah.
And was talking 90 to nothing and just hung out with them for a little bit because I felt safe there. I could be that way and be safe in that moment.
Right.
And you wouldn't think someone who was using could be around a bunch of sober people and be as comfortable as I was, but it's just how it makes you feel. And to feel that comfortable because they love you no matter what, that made it so much easier to get sober.
Right.
So
So when you were ready for help, that was the place
she
to go
drove
to.
me to Recovery Plus.
That's awesome.
No, she walked out 2 days later. But
4
it's
days.
okay.
It was 4 days.
But you planted
We
a
made it
seed.
4 days.
The seed was planted.
Right.
And she
And then not even
2
a month
months.
later,
Yes.
I was in another recovery place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
But that only lasted 2 weeks
we
because
talked-
someone punched me in the face and I got kicked out.
We'll be right back.
As a woman in recovery, I know how important having a fellowship of women has been for me. Come join us at the Women of Worth All Recovery Support Group here at Turning Point, 415 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky, every Friday night at 6 p.m., where we discuss our personal experiences in recovery. Hope to see you there.
Did you know that recovery from substance use disorder and mental health go hand in hand? That is why the caring and compassionate mental health professionals at Four Rivers Behavioral Health in Paducah are here to help you find your balance. They are proud of you for making the changes necessary to live a healthier life and would love to see you reach your full potential. Give them a call at 270-442-7121 or stop by the downtown location at 425 Broadway in Paducah, Kentucky.
We were talking about that, the statistics and how many times that somebody goes to treatment and things like that. And just because somebody walks out or it's not for them, doesn't mean that that seed wasn't planted or something wasn't learned, whether it be self-reflection or even understanding that you have a problem or addiction.
Yeah.
I wanted to be. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I said we believe in so many chances, and when we believe in as many chances as it takes, and I think that's how a lot of people are.
I wanted to be there at Recovery Plus, and it's not a bad place at all. Like, it's nice.
Yeah.
And I just had a weird feeling that one of my grandparents was not going to make it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to get to see him. And when I left, my grandpa died 2 weeks later. And I don't know if that was just a, God thing or not, but my last conversation with my grandpa was, I was telling him, I left, but I'm not done. I'm on my way. I just got a few loose ends to tie.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I'm glad to hear that. And then he passed away just a couple days after that.
Wow.
And I maybe used a handful of times more, got into some physical altercations with one of my exes, and my dad was pretty much forced to let me come home for a couple of days and sleep it off. And I got to Recovery Works is where I went. And by that time, I could have had clean pee, so a good chance I would have lost my bed, because the last time I tried to get there, if I hadn't used in a week, well, looks like you don't need us. So on my way to Recovery Works, I had my mom stop somewhere so I could get high real quick and go on, so I would have dirty pee so I could stay. And whenever I went there, I was fully engaged. By the second week, I was group leader. And then the whole thing happened. So I snatched a girl's wig off her head and threw it in the kitchen because she wouldn't stop talking about needles, and she was triggering me.
Yeah.
And she punched me. So we both got kicked out. I made my bed and I had to lie in it, but I've been sober ever since.
Hey, those triggers are real too, especially early on. With that type of method. I was talking to some sponsees earlier today, and there's this one guy that I was in jail with, and he would constantly glorify the use. And, that was the toughest thing, because, you got two addictions there, the using and the using of that device. And that just made it so difficult, because one was associated with the other, and they were both associated with a very temporary euphoria. Which, of course, we would forget about all the BS afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But those triggers are real, and those are tough.
Yeah.
But proud of you for continuing. So you got 2 years now?
Yes.
Almost, or?
I got 25 months.
That's awesome.
So 2 years and a day, or a month, not a day. Lord.
2 years.
2 years.
It's a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
From when, she first walked in and, barely walked in and was...
Hovered in. Okay.
Well, she hovered in to where she is now. It's just, it's amazing to watch.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Wasn't me, that's for sure.
Well, we all need a lot of help, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't do it on my own. Willpower ain't nothing. I've had a very good support system. The program I'm in now, the programs that I've been in, the people that I put myself around, my parents, our relationships have fully changed, night and day. Like, when I was using, me and my parents got into fistfights. And I put my hands on my mom and my dad both, and I do not like who I was. Now today, me and my mom bought a house together last year. We live together. We're making a major purchase together. And that's just... I never thought I would ever do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I see why this is a success story. That's awesome.
But I mean, she has been open enough to share.
Yeah.
And a lot of times with IV drug use, it's a very personal, it's a very stigmatized thing. And so, one, admitting that, you know, you suffer from addiction is one thing, and then admitting that you are an IV drug user is another thing. And so, thank you for letting us talk about your story, but also, you know, our success is meeting individuals where they are, no matter what stage that they are in.
It's funny you say that, and I think a lot of us that are in recovery and been in addiction, you know, when you're in that world, we start to judge each other, like, you know, the people who just eat the pills are judging the people who are using syringes. You know, like it's just it's crazy. But if you're the PTA mother, she's judging us the same. You know, she's looking at us the same. So it's crazy how that is, but it is tough to admit that, and it's tough to tell your story, but it takes a lot of courage. That's awesome.
You know, I don't do it for me. I do it for people that are out there, you know.
Yeah.
If I was worried about hiding who I was, then other people out there who are still in addiction and using in that form, it's, you know, they need to hear stuff like this. Mm-hmm. If I could have been hearing things like this 2 years ago, I probably might have 4 years sober. Right. You know, you never know. Is to hear that there is hope it's a game changer. It's a 100% game changer. You know, I met Lauren at my rock bottom. I might not have been quite at rock bottom when I first met her, but in the process, I hit my rock bottom. And that exchange program helped me come out of it. I mean, yeah, people standing there who work at recovery places passing out cards, you know, they listen to you. They hug you when you need it. They let you cry. They care about you. And I can't stress enough that it's just that if I had gone in there and it would be like a doctor's office, then I'd still be on the streets.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the needles, not the candy
Snacks.
that lured you. Not the snacks that brought you in.
Well,
Okay, I'll remember that.
We didn't eat.
I didn't even think about that. She makes a really good point. Like, yeah, there's no need for that.
They still take a lot of it,
They still
though.
take a lot of snacks.
You know? But yeah, I mean, it's so true that it takes what it takes, and when you were finally ready and you felt like, and assisted by seeing that somebody actually cared and started to love you back to life, and you start to see value in yourself, and then you were ready to try, and even though you had some hiccups, you know, you were willing to do it, and you put in the work. And then with the drug court thing, man, we get a lot of drug court participants down here, and when they first come in, they're always like, this is the most, there's no way I can do this.
Angry.
But then by phase 2 or 3, they're like, I'm grateful for drug court. Is that how you experienced it?
Drug court has been, okay, so when I first got in, I didn't like all the homework.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I
Nobody
didn't
likes
like-
it at first.
So much suspense. I didn't like the homework.
I didn't like having to go. I mean, I still have to do it twice a week to drug tested twice a week. Go to group therapy, go to individual therapy, meet the drug court person once a week, go to court every week. You know, now
Stand in front of the judge every week. Yeah.
Now I'm in aftercare. It's once a month for everything, and that's not so bad. But you know, I just on that packet that I just turned in today, the last page of it was my personal statement to me, and I'm like, you know, the tools that I've learned, just everything that people have taught me, the other participants, I'm able to learn from them. You know, I can grow in my relationships because I'm making relationships, friendships here, and I owe a lot to that program. Whereas when I first started, you know, they gave me a sanction for going out on a date. I was mad.
You mean you're going to tell me what to do?
I can't go out on a date.
Did they remind you ever
He
that
was
you
offended.
signed to be a participant?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, they did
You
that
signed
to me
up
too.
for this.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the date was
What?
with somebody you weren't supposed to be around.
He was a felon.
Yeah.
I
Dirty
didn't know.
felons.
I didn't know. He
Maybe.
understood me.
Of course, yeah, they all
Yeah,
do.
they all do.
They all do.
It's okay though.
You know, I had to learn a long time ago. I gotta learn to live with myself before I can live with somebody else, and I'm still learning. So I don't know where you're at in your journey, but you know, they tend to guide us better than we know ourselves, right? They tend to tell us that we need to do things, and it sounds like a punishment, but it's for our own good, and that's why we see people coming in drug court just pissed off and angry because of all the rules and the guidelines. But sure enough, like in 2 months, like you were saying, they're just bouncing off the wall and they feel better about life. It's an awesome program.
It's a lot of structure they teach you.
Yeah, they do.
You
Might be
needed
a little
it.
bit longer
Yes.
than 2 months, but you know, they get there.
Yeah, it kind of flies by.
Yeah, it does.
Drug court flies by.
For us, it does. Looking at it, not for you while you're in it. No, it's 2 years, no matter how you chop it up, right?
Hey, I've only got a month left though.
Hey, that's awesome, though. That's
Right.
awesome. So, can I jump in real quick here and ask Lauren a question?
I haven't stopped you yet.
No.
I haven't said that much either. I'm ready to talk.
Well, I don't want to take over your show, man. I acknowledge that sometimes
This is CrossTalk. It's everybody is talking.
he's going to yell at me later, guys.
Yeah. Lauren, what do you have so that Brandon doesn't have to talk?
Well, I was going to ask. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well-
Well, I think, let me talk first. No, I think that,
But actually, Lauren was talking earlier about doing a podcast with just the two of you, and this is a great banter for that. You know, you guys
We
talking
should,
about
though.
cats and plants and
Wheel of
you know,
Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune.
I'm not a fan. I mean,
She says you've been watching.
you've been watching
I've
it.
been at home on TikTok, and then I look up, and all of a
You're
sudden
at
there's
home playing with your cat, watching Wheel of Fortune.
cats. I have two now.
You gotta be one of the wheel watchers and put your code in,
What?
and maybe you win the money that the
Coat?
code.
Code. Okay.
Code.
Well, Lauren, have you applied yet? Because I remember the holiday special. You said you wanted to apply to be on Wheel of Fortune.
I wanted to too.
That's my goal for I'm going. I have not yet. I will. I will do that.
You will a fortune do that?
You know you have to do a video.
Can we
right?
drum roll? Is there a drum roll
I
button?
won't know which one it is. I'll play like crickets or something.
Do it.
Either way, it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Hey!
Oh, I nailed it.
Good job.
That is awesome. Perfect timing.
Perfect.
Yeah, well, they lighten it all short. So, Lauren, what were you gonna say?
I think that what I was
Stole
going to
my
talk
thunder.
about, about harm reduction is that sometimes it can be a controversial subject.
Yeah.
It is something that people kind of steer away from. They're kind of like, what is harm reduction? And it is so much more, than just prevention of public health or meeting individuals where they're at. And I kind of wanted Tabitha to come on here so there could be a face to it too, because it is, when you're trying to talk about like the little harm reduction is just, accepting what goes on, understanding all of that kind of stuff. But then the capital H of harm reduction is actually doing the stuff, like doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
And meeting people where they're at and going to them and opening up a syringe service program.
Yeah.
And I think that, it is so desperately needed in this area.
Yeah.
I think that it is hard to understand, more people inject drugs that you would assume. And we're just trying to keep people safe and alive in the process.
Just like Narcan, I mean, you can't help them. They can't find treatment. They can't find recovery if they're either not alive or they continue to stack up more STIs or other diseases that cause more problems. I mean, when you're the only SSP, and for anybody that's watching, SSP stands for Syringe Services Program. You're the only SSP in this part of the state, correct? You're the first and the only.
In the purchase
In the
area.
purchase area,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so the next closest one is Christian County, Hopkinsville. So it's an hour and a half away.
Right.
And when we're dealing with a population, I know that you guys know this, that transportation is a huge barrier. Like the reason that you came is because you had a driver's license and a car.
And a hoverboard.
And a hoverboard. But, I mean, for people to actually get to us, I mean, we're a brick and mortar location. And so it's, we're not serving as much as we could.
What was the biggest pushback you got? I mean, of course, when you use the word syringe or needle, and people that don't understand us, they automatically they're gonna have certain thoughts, right? They might have that word that we don't like to use all the time pop into their head. But what was, as far as educating the community, what was the biggest pushback you had? What was the biggest success that you had in educating the community?
I think that the biggest pushback, anytime that we talk about, especially Narcan or syringes, is the comparison of diseases.
Right.
Why are you doing this for drug addiction and not for diabetics? And,
Right.
We're not trying to compare apples to oranges.
It's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But not the same thing. Most individuals who are diabetic have access to syringes, and they're not reusing and potentially spreading infectious diseases. I think when you talk the nuts and bolts, especially when it comes down to the cost for medicine alone for hepatitis C is about $84,000. The likelihood that somebody gets hepatitis C within the first 3 to 5 years of injecting is about 70% if they don't participate in a clean exchange program.
Right.
And the reason for that is just how long it lives, the
Readily available.
Readily available.
Yeah.
Has people share more frequent.
Right.
And so $84,000 for Hep C. Another infectious disease is HIV. The cost over to that is over $600,000. The cost of a clean syringe is 10 cents.
Right.
So no matter what, these are dollars that are being spent. And so prevention, we're preventing the spread of infectious diseases, but then it's also so much more than that. I mean, Tabitha talked about, how our staff was welcoming her, but I mean, it's the same for us too. Like we would not be where we're at if we didn't have our clients go out and say, hey, I felt welcome. You guys can come in.
Right.
Because that is how the program is spread, and feel like they can come in and it's not a cop.
I told everybody about it. I did.
If I was over there, they'd probably think I was a cop too, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they probably
they
would.
You look like a cop.
Thank you.
Are you a cop?
No, I'm not. Speaking to the microphone.
You gotta ask him.
We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. You want to know something? My biggest issue with meetings is despite their name, they're never about me. Here at Turning Point, all of our meetings are for you and about you. We have meetings at least 3 times a day, 7 days a week. We are located at 415 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky. Call 270-444-3621 for more information.
Hey y'all, did you know it's illegal to own just one guinea pig in Switzerland because they get lonely? Here at Turning Point, we don't want you to ever be lonely either. That's why we are open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Always feel free to come hang with our friendly staff, and don't forget your guinea pig. We're located at 415 Broadway Street, downtown Paducah.
If I can mention, so back in 2019, I was going to see my ex-stepdaughter and her mother, and stepped out of my car and I found a dirty syringe laying on the side of the road. That is something else that the syringe exchange program takes away. You're not going to find these used needles as much because they have the sharps container, and they take your used ones and discard them.
And they pick them up because they want not only
exchange it,
they want to exchange it, but they also, I've kind of tried to scare the life of that, I have to get these syringes back because you said how the community, what's the easiest sell?
Right.
I mean, we're cleaning up the community. We are having a safe place to dispose of these syringes. And when you talk about, community health approach, I mean, a syringe, most individuals do not carry it because that's a possession and paraphernalia charge.
Unless it's in that Sharps container
That
they
they
can't get you for it.
Right.
Yeah, unless, anyways. So they don't toss them
Right.
in places where our public works employees clean out storm drains, or our children go to parks, or you are riding your bicycle, or you are walking out anywhere. And so it's a community cleanup approach as well.
And I think a lot of people in our community they don't know that people are using syringes for IV drug use. Like, what were people using syringes and IV drug use before you guys came along with this exchange program?
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the fact of the matter, it was still happening. Now you've given the community and the people that were using an option to safely dispose of those and get new ones to reduce disease. I mean, that's just kind of how it wraps it up,
Yeah,
right?
the nuts and bolts of it, the syringe exchange programs are no-brainers. Tabitha's story, that's the feel-good story. That is the hope that, not only has her life changed, but, she has a better relationship with her family and her kids and XYZ and all the...
My outlook on life, my relationship with myself is so much better. Like, I used to hate myself. And now, if you can't love me as who I am, then you're not going to be in my life. That's how much I love myself now.
That's awesome.
So
that's a good place to be, too.
it's fantastic.
I don't need anybody else. A couple cats. That's it.
I got 3 cats
All right.
and a dog.
Do you have any? Has she given you any plants, by the way?
No.
What?
They would die. Plants?
You have a source right there. You have an outlet of all your
I
plants.
brought Evan a plant today.
And he's going to take it home.
He is.
Good.
I have a lot of plants. I like to, stay busy.
I don't deal with plants. My mom does the gardening.
Okay.
No, but it is awesome. Now, 3 years ago now, just imagine yourself 3 years. Could you imagine yourself sitting here at a podcast talking about the steps and the path that you took?
No. I can imagine myself at the park hiding, watching, looking out someone's blinds.
Yeah, ruining their blinds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it.
And I always look back at the path that I took, and Matt took a path that was similar, but we all have a different path going into recovery. And I think, would I have done anything different? Would you have done anything different?
No, I didn't come in one shot shy or one shot too many. I came in just at the right time because everything that I have gone through has made me who I am today. And I told you I love myself. So
that is awesome.
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. We say it all the time, don't we?
That's
If
a
I
good
love
song.
who I am today, that I
about.
wouldn't wish to change a single thing.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly the way I feel. You can't live in the past, and that those things happened and they made you who you were. All you can do is try to be a better version of yourself today. And those experiences, that's one of the greatest things I found in recovery, is that all that wasn't for nothing, because I can use that to help someone else today. I can have, like you're doing today, by sharing your experience and strength and hope, which we really appreciate.
no, not a problem anytime.
Are you trying to wrap this up?
No, I was just telling her I appreciate it.
Oh, okay. So
You mentioned talk about cats some more?
No, well, I don't know how long we've been doing this.
37 minutes.
Hell yeah. So you mentioned hope, and that's what you're doing. You're here, you're talking about your story, you're providing somebody with hope. And Matt worked at Centerpoint for a little while as a peer mentor. I worked there for a little while as an employee. And we work here, and we answer phones. We talk to family members. We talk to people that are in the same boat that you and I were in, addicted to both the drug and the needle, right? And they don't know that there's a way out. You look out the window when you're in that situation, and you just ask yourself, how are these normal people doing that, right? And I have been able to tell mothers that's who I am, that's what I did, and now I'm better. Now I'm in recovery, and I'm in recovery for so many odd years, you know, and it gives them hope, you know, and it's just so powerful that you can get on here and talk about your experience with the exchange, talk about your experience in recovery, and give anybody that's watching, anybody that's listening, just a little morsel of hope, because that is all that we need in the very beginning. That is it, just to know.
Little hope, little faith, size of a mustard seed. That's all it takes to get it started, you know?
Amen.
Because when you're out there and you have no hope, there's no point. There's no reason. There's no, why should I? You know? I remember some of the thoughts that would go through my head is like, this is just so redundant, this lifestyle. I'm just getting drugs to find a place to stay for the night just so I can be warm, and then maybe tomorrow I can still have somewhere to stay and I can just try and get clean. But no, it was just over and over. It's just like a hamster on a wheel.
Different 24 hours a day than we're doing now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I finally got that little bit of push that, you know, everything's going to be all right and I will make it. I just got to take it one moment at a time, one day at a time. Then it turns into a week at a time, and here it is.
And it's all the people along the way, you know. It is. It's all the people that we meet. It's all the people that give us that little bit of hope and you know, cheer us on when we can't even cheer ourselves on.
Yeah. My church plays a big role in my recovery now.
That's awesome.
I'm real grateful for them. They, I'm in a life group now. I help teach Sunday school, and Wednesday night for the youth, I'm there every other Wednesday. So I'm real active in my church, and that helps me stay in recovery too. You know, I do other programs that I'm not allowed to mention, but you know, all of it together, and just seeing my kids, because I got twins that just turned 11 3 days ago, and I got a little boy who's about to turn 7 next month, and my twins' dad passed away in 2019.
Oh, sorry.
That's when I started using the needle. And my youngest son's father is my ex-husband that was abusive. So he's in Ohio, and he can stay there for all I care. But we don't, you know, it's just me and them. And my mom, you know, she helps me out. But as a parent, I am the only one. And so if I don't make it that next 24 hours, then I'm not just messing up my life. I'm messing up their life. So the motivation that I have today to stay sober is tremendous. And I actually heard something a couple of days ago that it is easier to stay sober than it is to get sober. And that was the most truest statement I have ever heard. Because if I mess up, man, it's so hard to go through that, to just, because you mess up that one time, and then that craving kicks in, that phenomenon of craving, and it's just like, oh, I want to do another one. I just want to do one more, and that one more turns into 6 more, and but to just say no instead, just say no to drugs.
Barbara Bush, is that what that was? Yeah.
It's so much easier to do that. You know, I can just go upstairs and look at my children and be like, yeah, I think I'm going to be okay this next 24 hours.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because it is a choice. And, you know, that just like you said, like doing it for your kids, seeing your kids, and that helps you, like we're not being selfish anymore. For so long, I think, at least I was extremely selfish, and, you know, I didn't care about anyone else, let alone myself. And like you've talked about, learning to love yourself. Once you love yourself, you can actually love other people, and then you can start living selflessly. You know, I also am heavily involved in my church, and I think that's helpful. Anything I can do to give back and help people. You know, I love working here and being able to work with people. I love doing outreach with my church. I love just being able to help people and not being selfless today. And that's what helps me, because I find that way more rewarding, both spiritually, you know, mentally, than any high that I've ever had, you know. So.
Definitely.
But Lauren, would you like to say anything before we close this up?
Is there any other questions, comments, or concerns?
There's an 800 number.
Concerns?
Yeah, we've got lots of concerns.
Concerns?
Hold on. Do we have another hour?
I'm just saying
all
that
the-
this is going to
So,
be a good podcast. I mean,
If you get on Wheel of
Yeah.
Fortune, if you do,
I
when you
will.
Are you going to say my name?
I will get on Wheel of Fortune.
you will.
I'm manifesting.
Speak it into existence. Yes.
You're manifesting.
I'm
Do you have to apply online?
It's a virtual audition.
Do you do it
She
on,
has to do a video too.
I have to do a
we
video.
have a
Are you going to
studio.
zip line on?
Upside down?
Upside down.
You saw the last one, right?
I
Put the
did.
cats in your video. I have 3 cats.
Why would cats help me?
Why wouldn't they?
Spin them around
Everybody
the floor
loves
like they're
cats.
the wheel of the wheel.
Put the cats on the wheel?
No, spin them around your
Yes.
hand like they are the wheel.
Yes, when I get on Wheel of Fortune,
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Oh, there was a follow up. Okay, so are you going to? What is your title going to be when you go in there?
I don't know.
We talked about this in the last
We
podcast.
did. I have to write a bio.
But you've got that.
I know, but
How are you going to shorten it up?
For fun.
Hats.
Hats. I just wear many hats.
You do.
That's how I'm going to describe myself.
That's pretty awesome.
Describe yourself as Wonder Woman.
Nah.
Yeah.
I'm just a junkie advocate. Advocate for junkies. Somebody told me that.
So Wonder Woman right there.
Wonder Woman.
Not everybody could do that job.
You can cut that out too because I hate that word.
But you can say you're
What?
a hope dealer.
One woman?
Hope dealer.
I had a shirt. It
It's
don't
a-
fit me anymore. But it said neighborhood hope dealer.
I do have a question. Where's the hoverboard?
It's in the closet at my house.
Okay, we still have.
Still got it.
I would have pawned that one a long time
I
ago
have
if it
4
was
of
me.
them. It was my kids.
Oh,
But then when I got sober, I bought myself one that had a Bluetooth speaker on it. So.
gotcha. Hey, that makes it pretty cool. We'll let Matt close this down because we're going to talk all night if
We
we
will.
don't.
Yeah, well, once again, thank you, Tabitha, for coming on. Thank you, Brandon. And Lauren, as always. No, thank you, Brandon and Lauren, as always. I know, Lauren, that thank you for bringing on a success story. And I know they're not always success stories at first, but don't lose hope because it takes what it takes, and you matter. So I just wanted to say that. Check us out on YouTube or listen to our audio version at Apple, Google, Spotify, and Podbean.
Awesome.
And as always, stay grateful.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction or in recovery and needs guidance, speak with Turning Point's team of peer support specialists by calling 270-444-3621. You are not alone, and we are proof that recovery is possible.